This is Lisa Tucker, host of The Book Cover, which showcases local literary personalities. So listen to The Book Cover on the Borderline. And remember, don't judge a book by its cover. Hi, you're listening to The Book Cover on the Borderline. I'm Lisa Tucker, and today I have a children's book author with us, Richard Jones. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. So we're here to talk about your two books now. And so the first was Bailey the Bushplane. Now, before we get into the book, tell me, now, people will be able to guess from your accent, you are not locally sourced.
Yeah, I'm imported.
You are imported. So tell us your journey. I guess the short form of your journey from Wales to here.
Well, Wales to here came via Australia because I was there, and this will be short, but I was there watching cricket because that's what British people like to do, and I met a Canadian girl in Australia, and we hit it off, and here I am. I ended up in Canada.
And that's how you followed your heart.
I followed my heart.
Very
yes.
nice. I love that.
And we spent a bit of time in Toronto, and then 3 years ago moved back to the Sault. But I think the first time I came to Sault Ste. Marie was in 2007 actually.
Right.
So I've been aware of Sault Ste. Marie on the map for a while, and have lived here for about three and a bit years now.
You're pretty awesome here, all the people.
Yeah, I like the Sault, yeah.
Cool. And what's your, do you have a background in writing?
I've written a lot since university. I haven't necessarily done a lot with it.
Okay.
But I've always had a passion for it. It is my dream. I've told my wife this many times. I want to do something with my writing. I want to go somewhere. I don't know. I just want to write something that'll make me satisfied that I've written something.
Yeah.
I feel like I've got something in me.
And writing is often, you have kids?
Yes.
It's sort of related. If people who have written and have kids, it's sort of a way of leaving another legacy.
Yes.
Your name
exactly.
will always be attached to these two books.
Yes.
Throughout time, and they don't die.
Right.
Right.
I think of myself when I'm 90 in a rocking chair and are all done. And I want to look back at my life, and I feel like it's important to me to leave something of a legacy. My wife questions that and says, "Why do you need to?" But I don't know. It's just inside me. I just want to.
Yeah.
So that does drive me for sure.
Yeah, I believe that. Now, the Bailey. So your first book, Bailey the Bushplane. Why did you feel that you needed to write that book?
Because I had written a lot previously about all sorts of subject matters, and I think then we had kids, and it
messed everything up.
It takes all your time,
yes.
And you have nothing left to do.
Right.
And I get into the world of reading kids' books and coming to the Bushplane Museum one day, and I think I was tired or whatever, and you end up sitting on benches while the kids are charging around, and you wonder if you've lost them, but you think they'll probably be fine. And you
right.
stare at the planes, and eventually, I do have an active imagination, so I started to think of characters for these planes, and huge inspiration for Thomas the Tank Engine.
Yes.
And I hope people don't think this is a copy of it or anything, but I grew up with Thomas, and I grew up with parents who read me all the Thomas stories, and I love them.
Well, it's European. Like Thomas the Tank Engine is England.
Yeah, it's English.
Yeah.
It's set in the island of Sodor, but it feels like it's set in the middle of England. It's a very kind of rural 1950s England, like almost a timeless era, people before cell phones and when there are still buses and things like that. It's a very innocent book, but it's got some really good characters and some good kind of human stories in there too, even though they are trains. And that does inspire me, and I want to have that here. I want to modernize it and tell modern stories, but ultimately I want to tell human stories through different mediums, through planes, I guess, bushplanes.
Yeah. So you did Bailey the Bushplane. Who published it?
We've self-published it.
Oh, you did?
So we've done all the work ourselves.
Wow, that's a lot of work.
It has been, yeah. But it's not been terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought I could. I had the attitude of I'm going to try and do something until I fail miserably, and I haven't failed miserably yet. And we've designed it. Do that. Yeah, we've designed it. We printed it. I did all of the background paperwork, which is boring myself, and we've been able to be successful enough, I guess, to do book 2. So it's working-ish to a point now. Yeah.
And you have the same illustrator for both.
Yes.
Now, how did you connect with Amy Williams, your illustrator?
So I took a punt on Amy because we'd begun to work together a little bit after she did a really amazing painting of the train. And through my work in tourism, we saw that train and we asked if we could use it for the tourism visitor guide cover. And
yes.
Amy was very cool about that. We came to an agreement and did that. And I think my wife knew Amy, and she was like, "Oh, Amy Williams, yeah, I went to school with her, I know her." And I got to know Amy a little bit, and I think she'd done some press herself, a video about her kids and her route back to Sault Ste. Marie.
Mm-hmm.
And with very little information, I just phoned her up and said, "Hey, Amy, can we talk about something that isn't about your painting, about the train painting? I've got an idea." And it was a real punt. And probably, 9 times out of 10, people will be like, "Oh, that's really cool. No thanks."
Yeah.
But on this occasion, Amy was intrigued enough to want to go down the path. So we chatted more. We brainstormed a little bit. I sent her some ideas. She's actually very good at writing as well, Amy. And so she kind of critiqued a couple and actually helped the writing process get to, I think, a decent place of where it is now. And when we were comfortable, we went for it.
Yeah.
She did some amazing illustrations, and I think really bring it to life whilst maintaining a bit of a timeless character and quality to it. And I think also, if I may say, it looks authentic.
Yes.
In a world where, in the children's book world right now, it's a bit of a even a bit of a revolution because of AI, and it's disappointing, and a lot of authors are really annoyed by it.
Yeah.
Because there's a flood of these new books, and they all look very similar, even though they're completely different. And so Amy maintains a level of authenticity with her art that I think really helps the book.
It's the human element.
Yeah, for sure.
And kids are so keen.
Yeah.
And they'll say, "I don't like this," not knowing why they don't like it, but they're getting that hint that it's, techno rather than human, right?
Yeah.
And you can't just slap on eyes on a train or a plane and have it be anthropomorphized.
Right.
Like, you have to give the object character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also leave room for them to add a bit of interpretation themselves. And that's what I think is good about most of it, or pretty much all the illustrations she's done, is there's room for the imagination to grow. It's not a completely literal, like a photograph painting. It's a bit of impressionism in there. And I think that works. I think when I see it, and I hope when kids see it, they add a bit to it. There's more that goes on than the illustrations, because the illustrations lend themselves to that.
Sure. And when Amy first showed you her first rendition of Bailey the Bushplane, did it match with what you probably had an image in your head?
Yes, I think she nailed it actually.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly. We've always struggled a little bit with the mouth, because I'm looking at the front cover of Bailey the Bushplane now, and there's a mouth on the propellers that move extremely fast so that it can fly.
Yes.
So there's that. But again, it's not uber realistic. We're not trying to say, no, this is literally the case. It's an interpretation. And so I think the mouth is a representation of a mouth, and I think kids get that probably better than adults do, actually.
I think you're right about that. So that was your first book, and
Yes.
then a year later you hit a big milestone.
Right.
You sold the 1,000th copy.
Yes.
So what do you attribute the success, that 1,000 copies for a local writer, here in town? That's huge.
Yes. Well, just to qualify that some of those books, because we also did a colouring book.
Okay.
So we sold a few colouring books, so that equals the 1,000, and we've also sold a fewer book too. So it's not just Bailey the Bushplane and 1,000, but it's the three together.
The three
but
together.
Yeah, we've now surpassed that because we've sold quite a few more since that announcement. But your question is, why have we sold 1,000?
Yeah. What do you attribute the success?
I think a lot of really good spirited people in the Soo wanted to see it. They wanted to get behind it. They know the Bushplane Museum extremely well. It's done pretty well with visitors.
Yeah.
So people on the train, the boat, people on cruise ships, anyone going to the Bushplane Museum, it's done really well. And I just think it's done pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm realistic. It's done because I hope this isn't too bad a tangent. I've got a son right now who's really into kids books. He's into a few called, well, I can say it, the Dogmen. Like, that has gone nuts.
Yeah.
That's
How old is he?
He's 8.
Yeah.
And him and his buddy are writing a version of it. Like, that's...
Yeah.
I see that happening, and I'm like, oh... I would wish the success for Dogman on this, and we were in England in the summer, and it's there. It's in Sault Ste. Marie. It's like literally all over the world. It feels to me, or at least in the world that we know.
Yeah.
So it hasn't had that level of success, but it's been pleasing for me. I'm happy with the success that we've been able to have, and hit 1,000 books in the world of Bailey the Bushplane makes me very happy and gives me encouragement to carry on. Right.
Yeah. And to write your second book.
Right.
And now the second book, is this something you're going to, like, will there be a third, a fourth, a fifth?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
We've written a third book. We actually, the book 3 almost was book 2, and we pivoted it. But there is a book 3 written, and shortly I'll be chatting to Amy about that. There is a book 4 written, and a book 5 half written. And I want to do a world of these books. So book 2 introduced, I think, 3 new characters. Book 2, the one we just did, the train one, introduced a couple of new characters. The third book is my favourite so far that we've written, and it introduces one more character, and it's got a really good backstory. And then book 3, etc., etc. We want to create a world of these, and each of these characters, these planes, will have humanized stories and emotions and feelings and personalities, and hopefully within that, it's a nice little world you've created.
Right. Is it historically, like, does it teach something to the kids?
Yeah,
about
it does.
Bushplanes and sort of our area here?
Yes, for sure. At the back, there's like a prologue, which actually is kind of, steps you out of the book and just gives you information. The kids may find that boring. I think the stories themselves hopefully teach a little bit about human emotion. Book 2 is all about how, the sub-story, I guess, the subtext is all about a new person trying to break into our friend group and how difficult that can be, especially if they come in a bit hot or they overcompensate. And that is quite difficult coming into a new group. And so maybe book 2 can help kids see that and go, oh yeah, okay, I can relate to that. Or someone just started in my school, or one time I just started this new team and I didn't make friends straight away, but now I've got loads of friends.
Right.
So that happened. Book 1 was a little bit about overcompensating and being insecure about certain things. It was Bailey and Bailey's size and being left behind. So we're trying to hit the nail, or a few different real life stories on the head a little bit.
Yeah, that kids can relate to in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. It's hard pressed. You'd be hard pressed to find a children's book that doesn't teach them something.
Yeah, that's true. Apart from the ones my kid likes right now, which says a rude word and he loves it.
Oh wow!
And I regret not adding a few more pages. No, I don't regret that. It's a different concept.
Saying fart in your book.
I should have done.
Really?
We'll talk to Amy about book 3. We'll have a single page where somebody says fart, and then we'll just sell it off the shelves.
Right. That's all you need.
That's all we need.
Well, I'm retired from the library, and some of the best books were one of them was it's disgusting and we ate it. So talking about disgusting, gross things that people eat, and that was one of the ones that flew off the.
Boom.
So you just need to add some farts in there, and you'll be a bestseller.
Right. Noted.
I love it. What do your kids feel? Have your kids read?
Yeah, they do. They're sweet actually. They're nice little kids, and they're very proud of this, and they're happy that that it's around. And yeah, they still read Dogman more than they read this, but whatever. They're cool about it. They're very sweet. They're proud, and if ever they see it in a store that we happen to be in, or go to Pancake Bay and it's up there, whatever, then they, Daddy, look, there's your book. And their friends, sometimes their friends discover it, or they turn it over and they see my picture on the back, and their friends keep on telling me, oh, I saw your book. Like yesterday, somebody said, oh, I saw your book in Pancake Bay. It was book 2 and all that. So they love being part of it in that way. It's nice. Sure. They're not teenagers yet, so they're still in that. They're still nice like humans.
You. Yeah. They still like you.
Like me. Yeah.
Now, have you? Because they're brutally honest.
Right.
Have they criticized your book at all and say, Dad, you should have done this instead? Have they done anything like that?
No, and I've invited them to, actually. I always read them stuff. I read them drafts, or I get someone else to read drafts, and I watch their reaction. Yeah. And I think they're too nice at this point. Yeah. I need them to be teenagers, then I'll get it.
Wait a few years, so they'll tell you you're gross, and they can't believe that you wrote that. It'll be so treasure. Well, speaking about ages, what ages are the books directed to?
I would say 0 to 10 for kids, but in a sense they're also directed towards adults, because adults are the ones they make the choices,
yeah,
and they're the ones who sit there reading these books.
That's right.
And often, I mean, depending on the parent, we bought books for our kids when they were born, and they're just blobs at that point. Not really, they just like the tone of your voice.
That's right.
So you got to read something.
Yeah.
So I'm, in a sense, I've written a book that a grown-up can read and go, that wasn't brutal.
Yeah.
And because sometimes you read a book and you're just like, what was that gibberish?
Yeah.
I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe this one is a book they'll be like, yeah, I can read this up to 5 more times, because that's what happens if you read a book every night.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's aimed at parents. Hopefully it's aimed at kids. Book 2's got a few little like cheekyisms, in a sense. You know, maybe it hasn't got the word fart in it yet.
Well,
that's
disappointing.
That's book 3 to be confirmed, listeners. But we will, yeah, I'm trying to make it cheeky, and the kids have got there's some dialogue passages in there that might relate to kids. So yeah, I'm trying to, it's a vague answer, but everybody, not teenagers. Teenagers, stay away from this.
Yeah.
This is not your book. But yeah, 0 to 10, and then
adults.
Parents, yeah.
Right.
Grandparents.
Has the Bushplane Museum gotten on board with like plushies? You need a plushie.
You do need a plushie. Everywhere I've looked, the minimum order is ridiculous.
Like 50 million?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Like, how big's your city? Will you be able to store all the ones we have to deliver to you? So at some point, yeah, maybe we'll do a plushie, but until we have, yeah, we need a bit, I don't know. That's down the line, I think. I have thought about it.
Yeah. Because, you know, I remember when my kids liked a certain book or like a movie. Bolt was big. Now that you might not remember Bolt because it was a while ago, but my son loved Bolt. And I bought, now get this one, off of eBay. It ended up costing me $75.
Wow.
But I bought that dog for him because he wanted it. So, yeah, I mean, I think you need to do a plushie for that. For sure.
A Bailey plushie, yeah.
If there's anybody out there that wants to donate their cash so we can get plushies for Bushplane,
seeking capital investment, plushies, yeah. It probably is the thing to do, for sure. I mean, it's a kid's book. It's for young kids. It would go well with it.
Yeah. Is it in the library?
Yes. Actually, I need to get on that. Book 2 is not.
Okay.
And that's just my own organisation. I think it's the library. I want it to be at the library. Yeah, book 1 is at the library. And apparently it's checked in and checked out quite regularly.
Awesome.
They tell me.
Oh, that's great.
So I will get it. I'll get book 2 there. You reminded me. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, you've got to get book 2 there.
Right.
I'm trying to get them to have a local author section because we have so many books.
Yeah.
And but even if it's not, like, kids will love Bailey. Bailey sounds wonderful. So tell me some character traits.
Bailey is a little blank. But Bailey's me, in a sense. Bailey's naughty and cheeky, and it's all the things I want to, or I can be. A little so and so. And I'm alright with that. Bailey's naughty.
Oh, he's naughty. I like she. Oh,
yeah.
Bailey's a she.
Bailey's a she. Yeah.
Bailey's
a cheeky little sod, and I think that's good. And Bailey's flawed, and that's like everybody, right? We're all flawed. We've got Emily, who is the nice, bubbly one whose character will come out in future books. Because right now you kind of feel like she's just the happy one, but she won't be. You know, she'll have stuff going on herself. Who else have we got? We got introduced Brooke in book 2. Brooke is American.
Oh.
And we went down that path. We made Brooke American. Sorry, American listeners, but you know, you have a reputation, and we're hitting that stereotype on the head with a big, loud, cocky, you know, full of herself person.
That sounds.
Please note, not all Americans are like that.
No.
but that was Brooke. We decided to make, because Brooke the airplane is actually American, and then we have Olly, who's really insecure, and Olly's story is going to be told in book 3, when we also introduce Firecat, who's my favorite character and is yet to make an appearance in these stories.
And is Firecat? Well, Firecat is a.
Firecat's going to be an old, gruff, veteran, grumpy, the one they all are terrified of. But Firecat will have a backstory, just like the Firecat in the Bushplane Museum. Firecat lived 2 lives. Now it's a cool-looking water bomber, but back in the day, it was a reconnaissance aircraft sitting on aircraft carriers, playing second fiddle to some nasty fighter pilots and nasty airplanes. So that story is going to come out in book 3.
I love it. And then the train.
The train was in. We're not going to have the train in a lot because it's about bushplanes, but the train was a good way to kind of introduce a few different areas and characters in Sault Ste. Marie, and we thought it was important. It's a big part of Sault Ste. Marie, and so we put the train in. The train helps with the storyline here, where somebody goes missing and they're trying to get back to Sault Ste. Marie, and Bailey helps out, Bella the helicopter helps out, and Trevor the train helps out, and they get the person back to the zoo.
So it is set in Sault Ste. Marie. I love it.
Yes, but no. It's set in a fictitious town called Smoky River, which is essentially Sault Ste. Marie.
Okay, so you call it Smoky River.
Right. Because I always want to have the license of doing whatever I want.
Yes.
Without having to worry about Sault Ste. Marie people. But yeah, it's set in a fictitious Northern Ontario city in between 3 Great Lakes with a river going by it. So, where else could it be, really?
Right.
But it's called Smoky River, just so it can always be fictitious.
Have you gotten to read this at schools at all?
No, not yet.
Oh,
my kids have mentioned that.
You need to.
Maybe.
That's great. Well,
That's
especially
terrifying.
if your kids, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Listen, you've got that voice. You've got the accent.
Right.
You could read the phone book. And it's very soothing.
Send them to sleep soothing?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I mean, you don't want them to fall asleep when you're reading your very own book.
Right.
But soothing as in, that's the way books are supposed to be read in.
Right.
An accent, I feel
An
like.
accent, yeah.
So what's the title? Do you have a title for book 3 yet?
Book 3 is just going to be called Firecat.
Firecat. Okay,
Yeah.
that sounds like something that's exciting.
Yeah.
And what now? Are you married?
Yes.
What does your wife think about all this? She thinks
She's supportive, yeah.
Yeah.
She knows I get carried away with things and have big ideas.
Yeah.
And she is excellent at being positive and helping me go along with that whilst keeping my feet on the ground sometimes. Mm-hmm. So that I don't just, fill the house. Hey, honey, I'm getting 250,000 plushies delivered tomorrow from China. Are you cool with that?
Yeah, we're going to keep them in the bedroom.
Right. She's the person who stops me doing that very sensibly and correctly.
I think
So
every
I'll
couple...
tell her that Lisa thinks I should do that. Heather, we're back on with the plushie order. I'll be sleeping in the basement with
you know
plushies.
What? Every couple needs the crazy one. That's me.
Right.
It sounds like it's you as well. And then needs the grounding person that says, hey, settle down.
Right.
Let's think about this logically.
Right.
And that's my husband. It sounds like that's your wife.
She's very good at that, yeah. She doesn't like to be considered that because she's also fun and gets out there too. But yeah, maybe she's the one who stops me ordering 250,000 plushies. There's a role for that.
Now, have you sent any of your books back home to Wales?
My parents were here last year and they said they'd ordered us and so I filled their suitcase. Yeah, they didn't have a choice.
No,
they haven't, and they need to come over here if you're listening and get book 2 because postage is expensive. So I'll wait till they fly over here.
You're gonna make them fly over.
Yeah, I'll pretend it's to visit us and see the kids, but really it's just so I can fill up their suitcases. Yeah,
I love it. So if people are, because I know a lot of the places where you can purchase the book.
Yes.
Is local.
Yes.
Is there any place where people are in other places? Can they order the book?
No.
There's no no electronic.
I haven't gone down the path yet. We haven't gone down the path yet of Amazon, etc.
Yeah.
We're testing the Sioux market. We're keeping our powder dry a little bit outside of the Sioux.
Okay.
That said, if anybody is dying to get one, contact us and we'll get you a book.
Okay,
now I'll regret that if 10,000 people say, yeah, I'll want one.
That's not regretful.
I guess it's good sales.
Yeah.
But sure, let's do that then. But I there's no mechanism yet, but there will be, I hope, in the future.
Okay. Yeah.
But I wanted to get a bank of books underneath me before I decided to go past the Sioux as the market.
The reason I ask this is because Siouxites who live elsewhere are huge supporters of anything that happens in the Sioux. And I mean, even though you're a transplant, you're married to a Siouxite.
That's true, yeah.
Your kids are Siouxites.
Yes.
So they'll support, I'll tell you.
Okay.
Yeah, Siouxites are really cool. So if somebody is elsewhere and wants to order, how do they get a hold of you?
We have a Facebook page. I think it's called Bushplane Stories. If you search that on Facebook, you'll find it.
Okay.
And you can send us a note that way. We have an email address, bushplanestories@gmail.com.
Okay.
If you want a book, that's fine. We'll be at the Christmas holiday gift fair
at the
in November. Yes.
Bushplane, yeah.
I'll be there on that first weekend with the booths. If anybody wants to book, then.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're outside the Sioux, contact us. We'll get you a book.
Yeah. Will you be signing the books at the Bushplane?
I'm too shy. If anybody wants it, yes, I'd totally sign. But I don't I'm not one of these people who's like, here's my signature. It's now more valuable to you. I'm too shy about that. But if anybody wants one, yeah, I'll scribble my name on it, and for what it's worth.
It's funny you say that, because I guess the majority of people, authors that I interview, are so humble, and I think that's a characteristic too of us. We Northern Ontarians, I guess, which right. You are now.
And now I'm, yeah.
You are, and it's that humble characteristic that says, oh, well, I wrote this book, but I'm not, Robert Munch, so yeah. I'm not going to sign it, or I'm not going to do a launch, or right. I'm not going to... It's almost like Sioux authors sneak their book into the marketplace.
Yeah, sorry, here's my book, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, exactly. I'm sorry that it was... it's a soft cover, or I'm sorry right. that there's not the third book out yet, and I'm sorry, they sneak it into the marketplace, and that's one of the reasons why we need this podcast, because people like you are so humble. You guys need somebody to shout out your
thank you, I appreciate
your successes, because
that's very true.
This is hugely, 1,000 items. Like, even though they're along 3 books, your coloring book.
Yes.
How was that received?
It was interesting. Yeah, a lot of people liked it.
And who did the coloring book?
Well, I did. Like, I've done all of this.
But did you draw the?
No. It's the same. So it's basically the first book with all the color sucked out of it by Photoshop.
Okay.
So it's silhouettes, so
right.
people can color it in. And yeah, we produced it, and honestly I give it away for free quite often, and at events I'll cut out pages and give it to kids to draw, whatever.
So you ruin books?
I ruin books. But it doesn't have the words in, so I feel okay about that. But it's just to keep, I don't mind, it's good kind of brand awareness, so kids can colour it in, whatever.
Yeah.
So at the Holiday Gift and Craft Show, I'll probably mutilate a few of those books,
right.
and have them lying around, so kids, when they're bored because their parents are looking at what to buy for Christmas, they can do some colouring,
knitted and woodworking and whatever
right.
else.
Yeah.
I want to read, so you'll never be able to remember all this, I'm sure. So I'm going to read where your book is available.
Thanks.
Okay, where did I just hide it? Okay, so if you are looking to purchase a book and you're in and around the Sioux area, you can get it at the Canadian Bushplane Heritage Centre, of course, Agua Canyon Tour Train, Coles, locally at the Station Mall,
right.
Ermitinger Clerg National Historic Site, Hogan's Homestead, Ontario Travel Information Centre, which is right there by the bridge entrance, the Miss Marie Sioux Lock Tours, at their offices on the water.
They have a little pop-up booth just when the boat exits the passengers. It's a small one.
That's great, because those are all visitors.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Pancake Bay Provincial Park, Sault Ste. Marie Duty Free, and the Sault Ste. Marie Museum, and Velarusian. Now that's odd. Velarusian, do you have a connection with them?
Yeah, we know. I've got friends and they said, "Oh, we'll stock it," and I was like, "Okay, you're a bike store." They're like, "Oh yeah, people are always asking about your book, so it's up there."
Wow, that's great.
Thank you, Velarusian. By the way. I didn't mean to sound ungrateful. That was Jack. Jack's British. He's a buddy of me.
Wow.
Buddy of mine.
Do you guys fight?
No, Jack's very nice. He's very calm.
Oh, okay. Because I've traveled in England, and
we do fight. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you say "Oh, are you English? Are you British?" to somebody who's Welsh,
right?
Those are fighting words.
But yeah, that's true. That is fighting words. But Jack and I haven't had a fight yet. But Jack, if you're listening. No, we're not fighters. We're nice.
Jack, if you're listening, you should pound the poop out of Richard.
and then say something about my Welshness. You're not really Welsh.
Yeah.
You sound English. Yeah, that'll get me going, actually.
I had a very good friend who worked with me at the library. She was Welsh.
Right.
She's passed, but man, you want to talk about cheeky? She was wonderful. Her name was Chris Carter. So shout out to Chris, wherever she may be. Yeah, she was Welsh. And if you asked her if she was British, she would say, British is shite. I'm Welsh. So
yeah.
Anyway, what would you like people in closing? What would you like people to know about your books?
Oof.
Any secret stories?
Is it you have to buy it to find out, right? Isn't that the correct response to that?
That is the correct response, and I've heard that way too many times.
Okay, so that's a cop out. What do I want people to know about this book? There'll be more. There will be several more.
Yeah.
And then at some point we'll say, okay, now we need to see what if it's got legs outside of Sault Ste. Marie.
I think it does. I think it's wonderful. The illustrations, the stories, the characters. I think it's great. Having had kids, I would read this to them because it teaches them something also about our city, and they can actually go and see these actual planes at the Bushplane.
Yeah. I hope that does inspire people to go to the Bushplane Museum, because it's a fantastic museum. Yeah. And so hopefully it does help them as well.
Yeah, I used to go all the time with my kids. They would run wild, like you said, do all the interactive and get into the Bushplanes and, pretend they're driving. Yeah. And how awesome. It's almost like you've upped the ante for the Bushplane Centre with these books.
I hope so. I hope they think that as well.
Yeah. And how much for each book?
The retail price is $12.
Oh, that's very, very reasonable.
We try to keep it reasonable. Yeah. We want to make it available and accessible to as many people as possible.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, that's why I don't have a commercial manager over my shoulder saying that's a terrible decision. Yeah, because it's just us.
It's just you. Yeah. And you get to make all the calls.
Exactly, right or wrong. Yeah, it's just
I love it.
Amy and I.
Yeah, I love that, and I love that you've got the local illustrator. Everything about this book is local.
Yes.
Except for you.
Exactly. Except for the Welsh guy who wrote it. Yeah.
The Welsh guy. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks
and
for having
I hope
me.
that I have you in for the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th. You got to get this outside of the Soo, because I hope that when people are listening to this, whether you're in the Soo or not, contact Richard at the. Say it again, where they can contact.
Bushplanestories@gmail.com or Bushplane Stories, the Facebook page.
Right. If you're outside of the Soo, contact Richard. Get some of these books for your kids. Show them a little bit about what we've got here in Sault Ste. Marie. That's awesome. Thanks so much, Richard.
Thank you.
Thank you. You've been listening to The Book Cover on the Borderline. I'm Lisa Tucker. And remember, don't judge a book by its cover.
Hi, I am Richard Jones, author of Bailey the Bushplane and Bushplanes in a Train. You can find our books scattered all over Sault Ste. Marie, not literally, but they're all over the place really. In the Bushplane Museum, the Train, Coles, Museum, Ermiting and Clerg, all over the place. Read our book, buy our book. Listen to me talk to Lisa Tucker, author of The Book Cover, a wonderful podcast on the Borderline Cafe.